Yo, yo, yo. Hey, legends. Okay, so step three. Exciting that you're here. So you've done the first two steps of magnetic selling, which isn't really selling, it is magnetizing. And this step is about utilizing creativity to unlock your ideal client source, which is the channel. So finding your ideal client isn't meant to be a linear process, and it can be it can be more fun, creative, and light. And my experience has been is that when it feels heavy, then it's probably not the most nourishing channel to find your clients, and it's likely that it's going to take a lot of energy and effort to grow and build your business. When you've honed in on your, which you've done in step one, your step two, your value proposition, and also your ideal client, now we can start to get a bit creative and have fun with the idea of, hey, where are these guys and what's the best timing to activate them and to transact with them in a way that, for me, it becomes more like an aligned exchange rather than trying to sell. And the old way of selling no longer is really relevant when you start to get in front of the right people at the right time with the right credibility and the right product that is quality and you care about. Yeah, I never advocate just trying to get people to transact and buy things off you if it's not full of value and coming from heart and care. So anyone who's doing this course, I believe, would be coming from that. And if you're not, get out of the classroom. So let's just have a look at some examples of where that I'll share some examples of what I've done that has creatively multiplied our sales and our business. And maybe that will give you some also juice for getting creative around it. And then I've got some questions in this unit that will activate you to start thinking about it. And so by the end of this unit, I really hope that you take away from it one to three, like even just one channel that really resonates with you and gives you the ability to start to increase and expand your business. But yeah, it can be up to three, but you don't want to overwhelm yourself either. So you want to just keep focused, and this will, yeah, at the end of this unit, I hope that you're able to take at least one up to a max of three channels that you can get creative with and bring in more clients. So the what I start with is a little bit of like theory, and then we'll get into some examples. Finding your ideal client isn't a linear process, it's a creative one. It's where intuition meets strategy, where resonance meets data, and where your business begins to reveal who it is truly meant to serve. Your ideal clients are already out there. They gather in specific places, they respond to certain energies, they trust particular voices, and they follow predictable patterns. But accessing them requires creativity and the ability to see outside the obvious and to explore unexpected pathways and to follow subtle signals your business entity is always giving you. So, an example for me was when I had the Chillazy business, which was making the outdoor comfy. We were going to outdoor concerts and events, and we were tackling the 5 day, thinking there's more days, more purchasing, and it would be great. But we spent 5 days setting up the marquee, camping there, very slow, few sales, not much happening. Until the last day of the event, we would seem to get a little influx of sales, and it was still quite low, but it was like, let's say, about $1,000 of sales. And so I did a process where I reviewed the wins and also the challenges of each event. And what I realized from doing that was like, it's interesting because the event organizers sold 1 day tickets on that last day. And it was like, that's when we got a little influx of sales. On thinking about the people we've been transacting with and thinking about the events, it had me realize that, hey, people that are buying are generally less prepared than the guys camping, and they got their freaking whole setup and they're really prepared. So what we ended up doing was to test the 1 days, and we then went and approached some like really well-known 1 day jazz events, a day in the green, Hope Estate for their Bruce Springsteen and different sellout concerts in the Hunter Valley and the Twilight at Taronga Zoo. And we kept getting knocked back, and I'm like, what do these guys need and what do they want? Because our client is the person that's at the event, but our gateway to those people was the event organizer. And so sometimes when you're looking at the ideal client, there is a channel and a pathway to get to them where you can unlock massive credibility. And through the event organizer who was just looking at us as like this new little business that made really had no credibility, if we could get them on board, then we could then really help their end user to have a better experience. And so what it came to, I sat down and brainstormed with a couple of mates, and I was like, yeah, what is it that these event organizers really need? And what we came up with was, one, they want their people to be comfy, but that wasn't enough to really get them across the line. But okay, one, they want their clients to have a really good experience. If we're selling comfort when they need it, tick. Two, they want to make more revenue and they want to improve their brand. And three, we found that there was some media out there saying bad press around people taking big camping chairs and blocking people's views. So I did some research, and it was like, and that also when people get a bit drunk, they trip over and they use them as weapons and random shit. So the media is like making this big deal out of these big camping chairs. And what we had was like the perfect solution. It was a seat that was sitting directly on the ground. You don't block anyone's view, but you're comfy. So what we came up with was a proposal and a pitch to them where we would give comfort when they needed it and solve the problem of the seats. But also what they were doing is like branding all the merch with the event organizers logo to get that out there more. So we realized, oh shit, what if we got all this branding space on the back of our seat? What if we put their logo on and we do it for free and we sell the seats at the event, but in return, they put us on the frequently asked questions page, and on that page it's like Chillazy is the preferred seat, doesn't block anyone's view, and we create an epic win-win. And so we proposed this. I created like a beautiful little laminated document. I branded a seat, like I paid $300 to get one of my seats just screen printed with their logo. And I just rocked up and they're like, no, you can't talk to Michael Hope, no chance. And I was like, can I give this to someone who does the event organizing? And so I left that with a personal handwritten note at their reception for the person who does his events. And it was a couple of weeks later, I get a phone call and boom, we're in meeting, went to the meeting, presented it, took another sample, got him on board. And so from $1,000 for 5 days of effort, we then turned into 300 pre-sales plus $20,000 of cash sales in 1 hour at the event. And it was such an epic arrangement because then we would get staff to help us run the stall, and the staff would do it for free so that they could see the concert. And once we finished our stand, like our selling, it was like the concert started, no one else is buying seats. So we didn't even need to have the stall with staff in it, and just for that first couple of hours. So it was just like this amazing event, and we just replicated that. We rolled it out to the Twilight at Taronga series, Carols by Candlelight, and it was just blowing up from there. And the same model, we did the branding and we did the preferred seating and all that sort of stuff. And even with the Carols by Candlelight, we actually went, because they were quite big and they were blocking us, we went to the charity who has the influence over it and we pitched to them with their logo, and that's how we got in the door with the main event. So the thinking creatively, taking the time to go, okay, this is the way that the industry does it, but we don't need to do it that way. The responsibility following the same process as everyone else is just so heavy. So utilizing the creativity, you can then start to unlock things like avenues and channels that are otherwise missed. So something that, just before I move on to the next example for Fox, is that, so when we did the bromeliad nursery, just on this example of like responsibility and like the way it's done, we found everyone, so the business when we took it over, it was all potted, soil in, plants planted, and sold in a pot. The business was losing money, it wasn't profitable. And so I sat down and meditated with Anna and Michael, who was the team, and Johnny, who was there, and we sat in the nursery and we would meditate with the plants. And one time I was sitting there in meditation, I just said, look, if you don't show us how to make this thing profitable, we're not going to be able to keep this thing running. And the plants just immediately gave the insight. And so the insight is that we are epiphytes. We have a plant that grows on trees we don't need to be potted. And like instantly my brain just started to see the genius behind this and the absolute disaster that the industry was propelling forward with its constant potting was that by potting them, you paid about 50 cents per pot. You paid about $1.50 per pot of soil, so the soil that goes in the pot. Another, say, 10 cents for some slow release fertilizer. And then every week you're weeding the pot to take the thing, or you can put chemical in the soil, but that's if you want to put chemical that's poison and you breathe it in. But let's say you're weeding the pot and there's labor, so dollars and dollars of labor adding up to the point where by the end of the point where we would sell the plant, it wasn't profitable. So immediately we shifted gears and we stopped potting the plant and we just started to. The other thing is when we would make a sale, if we had to post it somewhere or ship it interstate, we realized that we would have to take the plant out, wash them, and clean them before we would wrap them and send them. And we realized if we could shift this business model more to the online retail and we don't we don't pot them, we're actually going to save more than 40 to 50% of costs of the each plant, direct costs for growing that plant. We shifted that, and overnight we removed 40% of the cost in the business, and literally we stopped ordering soil, which was about $3,000 a month. We stopped ordering the extra fertilizer. We stopped weeding it. It was just a wild shift, and we had the wholesalers pushing back on us saying we need it potted to look like this in our stand because they're selling those to the market. So that was we would wholesale it to a retail wholesale nursery. And by shifting, what we did for them is we kept it in the pot, but we took the soil out and we put bark so that then it wouldn't grow, the weeds wouldn't grow. But we were slowly moving away from the traditional model in that sense to retail. So we built the website, and we started to sell more online, and we pushed our marketing all on into the retail and started to grow our retail space, and the business became profitable. So thinking about the channel, when you're doing the process of being creative, sit with the entity, ask it what it thinks, bring some friends in, start to get creative and challenge the way that you're thinking about how to build the business, and just start to connect beyond how it is done and start to open up the frequency of infinite possibilities, which is the unknown. And I believe that in the unknown is where the magic happens, because when you start to move into that unknown space, then you can come up with some creative ideas that are non-linear, because I then took that idea that I got speaking to the plants back to my business in Fox, and we had an absolute propelling forward in growth in that business, in profitability, because I took the same principle of taking my person out of it and sitting with the entity and asking it what it needs. So get creative, utilize the entity, utilize the whatever energetic work that you have, and sit down. And there's the guided activation speaking with the entity that I've got in the classroom, and then sit down and maybe get a friend or a partner or someone just to sit down and think about how can we join some synapses here that group from one client, maybe the ideal client base, to a channel that you might not have thought of before. So another example for Fox was that we worked out that our ideal client were women aged about 40 to 50. They're homeowners. They're renovated before. They're renovating multiple rooms because they generally have kids, they're mums, and they're wanting quality and service. So how we came to that was that our product isn't the cheapest, but we put in 5-star service. We are just absolutely focused on delivering to our clients and putting quality, more screws, more glue, more hinges, better hardware. And so we want to make sure that we're always delivering more value than what people are paying for. And so we realized from our clients that we're working with, the mums they're homeowners, so like rental properties, like people that would reach out for a rental, weren't the right fit because they didn't have the decision-making power. They were getting multiple quotes through the real estate agent, and they really didn't. The end decision maker didn't care about the quality and the extra service and the extra cost. They just wanted the cheaper. So we literally were able to just cut out 20% of our leads just by removing people who were rental properties. And so that can be scary when you're removing some clients to focus on the ideal clients. But what it does is it gives you more time and more space, and that's the importance of this system and boundary, to then focus on the people that matter, and those people then refer more, and it's a spiraling up. So that leads to a big growth spiral as well. And so what we realized was that these mums were our ideal client, and generally they'd even renovated before. And so a questionnaire that asks when people call up, our administration ladies will literally ask these 5 questions that just tell us, boom, this is our ideal client. And how we found more of these people was that we started to go, okay, that's pretty clear. We use social media, so we use Facebook. Are there any Facebook groups with mums that are renovating? And so we found Renovating Mums, Northern Beaches, and there was 5,000 mums on this page. And any mums that were going to renovate their home would like gravitate to this page and then ask other mums who's the best person to use for wardrobes and cabinetry. And so what we did, we got one of the women in our team to just jump on there, and she could see that there was Fox was already getting some mentions. And so we reached out to the owner of the page and we said to her, is it possible to be included? We can give value information and answer questions that you guys might need. And so what we came to was that we couldn't be constantly posting on the page, but every Tuesday they would let us share some value. Anyway, what ended up happening was that we built such an amazing relationship with the founder of the group, but also the mums on there that loved what we did, that now it's like anytime that someone asks for wardrobes, it's Fox. And there'd be like 10 women that would say Fox, Fox. And you then get one other supplier that someone would recommend them. But because we were so ingrained into the community, everyone loved what we did and we delivered. So we just became the preferred supplier. And then so now we're actually a sponsor of the group. We provide monetary benefit to the group to help them continue and expand the group and to give more value. And so it's become an amazing win-win. And so like for us, if we get 10 leads a week from, that's 40 grand at a $8,000 job value at a 50% conversion rate, that's 40,000 a week of revenue. So you can see like all of a sudden it's this center of influence, this page has just, and in such a nourishing way with community, for us it felt light and enjoyable to be a part of it, just naturally expanded us. And then what happens is, because they're our ideal client, they hang out with more of them, they refer more of them. So we would just run a referral campaign where it's okay, if you refer a friend, you are in the referred friend going to the draw to win a Flight Centre voucher. And all of a sudden people are playing a game and referring friends so that they can go in to win this $1,000 Flight Centre voucher. And then it just like compounds, and it's like mums selling to, like, getting us more mums, the people that we enjoy working for, the people that are more ideal for us to work with, and it's just an expansion. So creativity expands your field of possibility. Using this system helps to ground it, do a bit of research, bring support in, get friends, you talk to the entity and start to work energetically as well as practically, and meditating, allowing those ideas to come through. So energetically, the ideal client lives on a frequency, a wavelength, a shared field of intention and desire. Creativity lets you tune into that field. So ask yourself, when you're going through this brainstorming and process, where do my people naturally gather? A few answers to that. Whose authority do they already trust? Renovating Mums, the Hope Estate is the event organizer. They hold 30 years of credibility. What environments or events activate their buying energy? So when's the timing right to be involved in that? Of course, Renovating Mums, they're in the process of renovating. So the community, they're asking, who's a good supplier for this? Who's good for this? Because they're in that energy. They're actually looking. So the timing's good as well. With the Hope Estate and the Twilight at Tronga, we are there at the time they need the seat. And I'm buying a ticket. With Twilight at Tronga, what we ended up getting it to do was that when they bought a ticket, we got Twilight at Tronga to have a drop down where it was like add on a Chillazy seat, a comfy combo, a super comfy combo. Taronga Zoo started to sell the product for us, and they have massive credibility. And it was at the time that the people needed it, at the moment of the purchase. And it just spirals up. So what environments and energy events activate their buying energy? What credibility markers instantly increase trust? What unusual channels might actually hold the gold that people aren't even looking at yet? How could I collaborate creatively instead of pushing harder? So like this unusual channel, no one was selling comfort when you need it. People were selling, for Chillazy, people were selling coffee and food at the events, but no one was selling a seat, cushion, and blanket. It's like, why? How could I collaborate creatively instead of pushing harder? Creativity transforms marketing from a hunt into a magnet. Also, it's like, It's about having fun. Like, why do business if it's heavy and shit? Let's have fun. Like, this is the game changer, is like, tap into your funkiness, tap into your specific flair and just own that. It feels like there's a there's playfulness in it. There's the energy of fun. So energetic prompts, creative that could unlock your ideal client's channel. So Zora is barking at someone. What channel feels light in my system? Make sure it's something that feels fun. Like, it could be challenging. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be out of your comfort zone. Like for me, stepping up and pitching to the Hope Estate and these guys like Michael Hope and the Zorro, thank you, the Hope Estate and the people that are like that seemed intimidating to me at the time, like for Carols by Candlelight, is it can be scary or it can be challenging to step to that next level and get in front of the people that have this huge credibility. But that could be the thing that unlocks, and it's fun and it's light, but it's also scary. So I feel like the flow doesn't mean that it's not, it's easy, it's easeful and you're following the path, but you're probably going to get outside of your comfort zone, and that is the gold and the gift in it anyway. And so, what channels do I naturally enjoy being a part of? Don't do shit you don't enjoy. Where does visibility of my product create amplification of my sales channel? Where does my offer feel timely, relevant, and welcomed and not forced? Strategic prompts, so more grounded. What groups, communities, or interest clusters align with my offer? Who provides massive value to my ideal clients? What brands or events should I partner with or could partner with? What credibility signal would instantly elevate trust? What channel consistently brings the best quality leads? Creativity is not random, it's intentional exploration. Remember, sometimes it's just the clarity that's needed. So for me, the just doing the ideal client in the prior step of this course, thinking about it from an energetic way, thinking about it from a more creative way, and getting clarity on that will mean that you'll say no to more non-ideal clients. Hopefully, you got to hold that boundary. But once you start doing that, you start shifting, and you'll find that when you say no to what's not in flow in your field, you're saying yes to what is more ideal, and then that's going to already amplify things. So also take a sacred pause, go for a swim, take a weekend away with your loved ones, have fun. The ideas flow and come through more naturally and not forced when you're guided to the channel and connected to the people. You will, once you start this work, if you take some space, you give yourself some nourishment, you could get one creative idea that literally like doubles your business because it's one nourishing creative idea. Whereas you could hustle and work your butt off and go for 10x times more clients, and you're just filling your time with busy crap, and that one client doesn't even resonate with you because you're so tired and burnt out. Actually, what you want is to give yourself nourishment. You're going to magnetize, you're going to send out in your field of resonance a much more inspiring, nourishing vibe to be with. Your conversion rate increases, you get more results because you're not overwhelmed and overloaded. So the process clears the blocks and the joy magnifies the how. Trust the process, trust your guides, trust your higher self. Take the steps when they appear. So cute. So the golden insight, your ideal clients are always gathered somewhere. Your job is to creatively discover where that somewhere is. When creativity meets data and intuition meets systems, your ideal clients stop being hard to find and start flowing directly into your world and multiplying with less equaling more. That has 100% been my experience, and I really hope that you have that experience as well. So on completion of this unit, I'm hoping that you've answered all those questions. You have 1 to 3 creative channels that you can work with, and just give yourself some space and nourishment and meditate and see if those ones are aligned and if they feel good. Do the activation. Remember, everything starts from the inside out. When your inside is clear, your channel is clear, you start to receive the downloads, and the whispers, the quiet voices are the ones that are giving you the most value, not the noise and the busy. So just slow down, drop in and surrender and trust, and allow the joyful, light, exciting flow take you where you are meant to go. I hope you've enjoyed this unit, and as always, DM me, put a post in the chat group, celebrate your wins with the group in the community. And how you do that, because I feel like maybe everyone knows how to do that yet, is to go to the community page and write something here, put in the title and write a comment and post and share with us what your wins are, share any challenges, and we can work together on and solving that as a community. That's what we're here to do. And that's what I'd love this community to become, is like we're co-creating and supporting each other. And yeah, if you have any challenges you feel need to be private, DM me. I'm available as well. That's what I've created this space for. And I really, yeah, hope to see you celebrating amazing wins and look forward to seeing you on the next unit. You.